Okay, Jeff, anytime you're ready. Cool. Wow, Gordon, you've been around for a while. He claims he's only 60. 61. Okay. The Essential Tozer Collection. He's got a couple of these trilogy books. The one that I started with was The Knowledge of the Holy, The Pursuit of God, and God's Pursuit of Man. Good stuff. This one is The Pursuit of God, The Purpose of Man, and The Crucified Life. And I've read The Crucified Life. I've read The Pursuit of God. I'm going through The Purpose of Man now. My Sunday school class is actually doing The Pursuit of God. But let me just read a couple things as we begin from chapter 7. What came first, workers or worshipers? And so, you go through it, you underline various things, and then we come to this part of the chapter where it says, well, here's one. Christianity is not a result of coming to God and becoming an automatic cookie-cutter Christian, stamped out with a die, one size fits all. What God has done for others, he'll do for you. These are marvelous mottos with a grain of truth in them, but they lead us far from the absolute truth. We come to Christ so that we might be individually redeemed and made in the image of Christ. Vibrant, personal Christians who love God with all our hearts and worship him in the beauty of holiness. Kind of like, well, that's just some good stuff as far as vibrant, personal Christians who love God with all of our hearts and worship him in the beauty of holiness. The purpose of man is talking about worship. And in one of the previous chapters, he talks about what worship isn't and gives a variety of things. And I've said that, worship is not that feeling that you get when you sing a particular song 18 times or whatever the case is. But he points out that worship is imperative. If you will, it's mandatory, okay? And he goes through all kinds of things as to what it takes to worship God and things like that, but I'm looking for one particular page here. I probably passed it. There it is. God is infinitely more concerned that he has worshipers than he has workers. If we could only remember that as far as his plans are concerned, God does not need us. I think we should work for the Lord, but it is a matter of grace on God's part. However, I do not think we should ever work until we learn to worship. Let me continue on so you'll understand why. A worshiper can work with eternal quality in his work, but a worker who does not worship is only piling up wood, hay, and stubble for the time when God sets the world on fire. And he brings this up at least twice where we like to jump in and do things. And the reality is you need that relationship with God to be in such a way that when you're doing it with God. As Pastor brought up a couple weeks ago, the concept of synergy. You're the tool, you're the instrument. Yes, you're doing the work, but it's in the power of the Spirit. It is for God's glory, and it's not about you. And so something to think about, especially as, at least some of us here are involved in a variety of working. Are we just being workers, or are we worshiping God in our work? And again, the definition that he's going to give you of worship is where you're walking in the fear of the Lord. You're understanding who he is, who you are, your need, your dependence upon him. So it basically comes down to that spirit-filled life. It's that kind of thing. Yes, sir. Those are all important verses when we're talking about coming down to our dependence upon Him. Very often, the trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He'll direct your path. Those couple of verses right there really kind of say, this is how you live the whole life.